Manchester United are on the lookout for a proven goal scorer in the mold of Viktor Gyökeres. But what if I told you that Manchester United already had a player capable of reaching those levels, Rasmus Hojlund? I know this is not going to be a popular video, but hey, this is Scarlet Report, so challenge accepted. Give me 5 minutes of your time and I'm going to convince you. I'm going to prove to you that Rasmus Højlund deserves a second look. So without any further ado, let's analyze. All right, let's get started with the video analysis segment. And I have planned this segment with a frame-by-frame comparison between Gyokeres and Højlund in mind. And I've picked an extremely narrow sample of goals for both players. Gyokeres' goals from the Champions League this season, as well as Højlund's goals back when he was at Atalanta Bergamo, just to show you how similar both of these strikers are. So first, let's start with this Gyokeres goal. This was against Leipzig in the Champions League, where he likes to run at the defenders and then pushing the ball into space away from the defender, and then with, of course, a smashing finish, as he did in this sequence. Now, the question is, can Højlund score these kind of goals? Because if Højlund can prove that he has it in him to score these goals, then maybe with time and experience, he's going to be able to score them with the same consistency as someone as Gyokeres. Look at this goal for Atalanta, for example. Here, Højlund, same thing. See how he's using his arm right here to protect the ball ahead of the center back. And then with an oriented touch, as you can see, he's going to move the ball in towards the sides where he wants to actually make something happen. And then here what he does is quick feet and just takes away the defender and then creates an angle of shot, and then he doesn't miss it. That's a beautiful finish. And if you were wondering who that center back is, that's Gyokeres, who actually ended up signing for Arsenal that same season. Now here's another Gyokeres goal that I absolutely love. This was against Manchester City in Ruben Amorim's last game of the season. What's really interesting here is that for Gyokeres to be able to score, Trincao is making a very good run, which of course is going to end up taking Akanji away. And then of course, Gyokeres now is in a 1v1 situation against Ake Quenda. That's just a perfect pass into space for Gyokeres. And then here what Gyokeres does is all he has to do is to actually protect and shield the ball using his body to just make sure that the defender cannot actually catch up with him. So let's see whether Højlund is able to score goals like these. Same situation, a through ball into space for Højlund, and then now he's in a similar situation as to that that Gyokeres found himself in. He's attacking the space. As you can see, he lifts his head, he pins the goalkeeper, he knows where he's standing, and then now with a smashing finish, he's gonna score it with a low finish into the bottom corner. Absolutely unstoppable. Here's another example that just shows that same intelligence in movement that Gyokeres has, that Højlund also has. You know, this is what Manchester United saw, that PSG also saw, which of course was, translated into interest in Højlund. So here again, between the left back and the left-sided center back, this was against Bologna. And then as Jeremy Boga comes in, so he receives the through ball in between the center backs, a nice oriented touch again, and then a chip over the goalkeeper. That's an absolutely amazing, center forward goal. Now, here's another trademark goal by Gyokeres, is that he loves to run with the ball at his feet. He's quite physically imposing, as you can see here. He loves to use his body in order to position himself ahead of the center back. Absolutely no chance of getting the ball from him unless you commit a foul. And then, of course, here he's showing composure and technique in, just creating more space and opening up more angles so he can score. Can Højlund do that? Well, here is another situation. Højlund holding up the play again, controlling the ball, making sure that he creates distance between him and the defender. And then now a quick step over, and then he's going to be able to push the ball into space in order to attack this space right here. He's quite fast, he's physically imposing and athletic, and then here that's just the right pass towards Jeremy Boga. By the way, during that season, these three players right here, Lookman, Boga, and Højlund, I think these two players, and this is where Cunha and Bemu are going to be extremely important for players like Xerxes and Højlund, is because these two players were amazing. And that just made it extremely easy for a player like Højlund to find himself constantly and consistently in goal-scoring positions. Here's another example. This was against Lazio. He didn't score here, but again, he's just showing that same athleticism that Gyokeres has, that explosivity in the dribble. And then here, see, similar to that sequence I showed you with Gyokeres, positioning himself, putting his body ahead of the defender in order to either force a foul and a red card in this situation, or that's it, you just let me go through. Unfortunately, he couldn't score it. That would have been an amazing goal. But in that same game against Lazio, he's of course scored this goal. Again, you see that he anticipates the situation, and then that acceleration, athleticism, and drive, as well as the identification, the intelligence of the movement right here, identifying the space and the right position, again, between the left back and the left-sided center back. But here, the key difference maker is Lookman right here, who plays just the right ball. It's just the right pass, the right angle, the right time, the right weight. And then, of course, here, Højlund scores it. Here's another example where Højlund and Lookman, again, they're going to partner together to score a goal. As you can see, Højlund, again, between the left back and the left-sided center back. Lookman makes a move into space, as you can see here, in between the defenders. And then, of course, Højlund, same thing. He's going to attack this far post. And Lookman, he identifies the run. And then he's going to play the right ball for Højlund to go on and finish the chance, right? And that's, again, an amazing poacher goal. Same thing again. We see, again, Lookman. As you can see, this is why I said that in my Xerxes video yesterday. Cunha and Mbeumo are going to unlock these players. You know, players like Xerxes and Højlund, if they play alongside these players like Cunha and Mbeumo, things move fast. You know, football is played in a high tempo. It's incisive and it's high quality football. So here in this case, look at Højlund between the two center backs. He receives the ball early, which means he has space. So now all he has to do is to just take it, further towards the left, so to create an angle of shot with his left foot, and then that's it. There's no chance here for the goalkeeper and the defender. I mean, we've seen him score these kind of screamers with his left foot. If you remember the one against Spurs in his first season, so Højlund is definitely capable of scoring some amazing goals, provided that, of course, he plays in a system that plays to his strengths, and he plays with teammates who understand him and can play quick, incisive football that provides him with plenty of space and can provide him with plenty of consistent opportunities to have shots at goal. All right, so when it comes to Rasmus Højlund, we have to ask ourselves two key questions here. The first thing is, what happened to the Rasmus Højlund that showed this much promise in Atalanta and, of course, in his first season at Manchester United? A lot of people tend to forget that Rasmus Højlund was actually the top goal scorer in his first season at Manchester United in the Champions League group stages, scoring against Copenhagen, Galatasaray, and Bayern Munich. And while, of course, it took him a while for him to open his goal counter in the Premier League, the moment he did, he scored in 6 games in a row. That's a record for a teenager. No other teenager, including guys like Wayne Rooney and Cristiano Ronaldo, has achieved that. So again, he showed plenty of promise, even in a Manchester United shirt. Now, it's true, last season was kind of like a write-off for him. He wasn't very good, but it doesn't really discredit his ability as a player, because he's shown it many times in the past. So the key question here is, what happened to that Højlund? And here I am quoting the president of Napoli, who said that the main reason we want Garnacho is not just because of his speed and flair. He's a talented player. The reason we truly want him is because he is at Manchester United, and we know that if we buy him, he's going to become twice the player. And that's extremely telling, and it's true. It's absolutely spot on. Any player that comes to Manchester United, for some reason, they become half the player they were. Whereas when they go to clubs like Dortmund or Napoli, they become twice the player that they were at Manchester United. And this is the key issue at Manchester United. It's not really Rasmus Højlund. The second key question is, of course, where was Gyokeres when he was 22? When Gyokeres was 21, 22, was he this good? Well, definitely not. I think that there are some players who are late bloomers, and I think that Rasmus Højlund falls in that category. And I think also that the fact that we had so many players who have emerged and have become sensational talents very early in their careers, you know, the likes of Lamine Yamal, for example, or Florian Wirtz or Jamal Musiala, etc. A lot of people take that as the baseline. You know, that means that if a player is not world class by the time they are 18 or 19, that means that that's it. They are cooked, you know, they won't have a great career. But actually that couldn't be any further from the truth, because for players, like especially strikers, they actually hit their prime around 27, 28. That means, on average, you start seeing what a striker is truly capable of by the time they are 24, 25, okay? And Mateus Cunha, who we just signed, who has been sensational this season and last season, is 26 now. But prior to that, you know, for clubs like Atletico Madrid, Leipzig, Hertha Berlin, FC Sion, he was not as consistent. He didn't look like that big of a deal. And yet he came to Wolves, and then he just had the right environment, the right teammates, the right system, and he thrived. And then now we are getting Mateus Cunha in his prime. And so it's the same thing with Rasmus Hojlund. He's just 22. He's shown glimpse of what he's capable of. But what tells us that he's not going to be, 3 times, 4 times the player in 2 years' time? Guys, I had this vision, with Sesko being linked to Arsenal. I had it in the back of my mind. I knew that if they ended up buying Benjamin Sesko, I could see it like from a mile away, that Leipzig would actually go for Rasmus Højlund. He is absolutely made for the way, the Bundesliga, the way football is played in the Bundesliga, especially with a team like Leipzig. He's a pressing forward. He likes to press. He's physical. He's fast. He plays in behind the opposition defensive lines, and they play quick, incisive football. Signs for them, and he's going to be worth 100 million in 2 seasons. Okay? I could see it. Unfortunately fortunately for us, Arsenal didn't go really for Sesko, so I don't see which clubs would want to go for Højlund at this point. Inter Milan, but then again, Italian clubs, they seem to be kind of broke lately, so I don't know whether they can really afford him. But the point is that Rasmus Højlund could definitely become a key player for Manchester United, provided that we give him the required and necessary guidance. Which brings me to my second point. There is a reason, and you probably have felt it here. I am quite passionate about Rasmus Højlund, and the reason behind that is simply because I'm a Manchester United fan, and I feel that over the past 12, 13 years, we have lost our culture, and we have lost our identity as a club. Manchester United prides itself on being a footballing institution. What is that? Like, think about it as an academy, as a university. That's what we are supposed to be. And Manchester United, throughout the decades, has been known for nurturing and developing talent. Okay, we don't just buy stars. Of course, we are always there whenever there are top players who are available in the market. But also, we are well known for taking players who are considered mavericks or considered past it, or maybe young players with potential, and then turning them into key performers for us. Okay, we've done it so many times, and that's a great source of pleasure for me as a Manchester United fan. Personally, I love seeing that. Okay, and I feel that we've kind of lost that touch, and I think that Rasmus Højlund, in my opinion, is the perfect opportunity for us to see whether we still have that magic touch or not. Okay, so Rasmus Højlund, he doesn't have an attitude problem. With players like Jadon Sancho, for example, or Marcus Rashford, I'm saying it doesn't matter how talented they are. It's poison. It's toxicity. Okay, let's get rid of that. You are never going to be able to turn those players around. Okay, with Rasmus Højlund, it seems like the script is flipped a little bit in that the attitude is there, the application is there. His head is in the right place. Okay, as far as his motivation, how driven he is, how much he cares about the club, but it's his talent, it's his skills that need a little bit of support. The question here is, what kind of football club are we if we cannot coach a player? If we cannot guide a player and make that player better? Because that is what clubs like Dortmund do. That is what clubs like Napoli do. That is what clubs like Liverpool do. That is what clubs like Barcelona do. So if Manchester United want to call themselves one of the greatest clubs in the world, which I believe we are, but lately in the past decade, we haven't really been showing it. So I think that if we can turn Rasmus Højlund's career around, to me, that's the surest sign that this club is on the way to recovery. And this is why I'm extremely passionate about this Rasmus Højlund situation. Now, guys, I'm not a fool, okay? So I understand this video is going to have a lot of dislikes. But if you are in the camp of those who have enjoyed the video, please give it the thumbs up. Don't worry, at Scarlet Report, I'm going to always keep things real, no matter what, okay? I'm going to ask the tough questions, and I hope that you guys forgive me in case sometimes I make videos that you disagree with. I mean, that's the whole point, okay? So it's social media. It's supposed to be social, okay? So I'd love to hear what you guys think about this Rasmus Højlund situation. Please don't talk to me about, oh, we should just buy Osimhen, Sesko, Gyokeres. Guys, in a world of instant gratification, when people think that the best way of solving problems is just to discard their bad investments and just spend more money and spend more money. You don't like this phone? Just throw it away and buy a new one instead of repairing it. I think we need to show a little bit of restraint, and we need to show a little bit of gratitude and appreciation for what we have and work with what we have. Okay, if your phone is broken, try to fix it. Let's do the same thing with Rasmus Højlund. That's all I gotta say. Until next time, cheers.